Ticker symbol COSM, giving even more validity to that 301 bottom side that we have been talking about for quite some time now. Let's go ahead and see what the potentials are for the coming days. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Once again, this is ARCa coming at you with a COSM technicals, raw price action, and statistical thread of analysis on this Taco Tuesday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, you guys, so we are looking at COSM on the daily chart here. And as you can see today, this price action from today ended up going to a low of, you can see right over here on the OHLC, right? The open, high, low, close. So you can see when we hover over this candle, we went perfectly to that 301, just like we have several times before, right, you guys? So, I mean, I'm really talking about 301 several times. All of the candles that I've just pointed at, you guys have had that 301 bottom, right? So that 301 area is such an inflection point, you guys. This is just, it's a really strong demand area for COSM, and it's just giving more validity for a very strong inflection point, right? So now it's based on that retracement and you know, the upside move that we got all the way up to about 329. We actually are kind of validating the chop zone that we've been trading into, right? So this is giving this area yet again even more validity and telling us that we could potentially be trading within this range yet again, okay? Which does have kind of a resistance area somewhere between the let's see, I would say around 353 to about the average, right? To the average of about 365. Right, so now 353 just happens to land very close to that 348 of the 2.618 golden mean from the Fibonacci retracement tool. Right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next chart to see what we have here. Okay, so this is the 5-day volatility versus momentum. We're still waiting for this to kind of realize, right? What I do like is actually that we did not go into the critical contraction zone. In fact, the volatility is starting to increase. So this is a good thing, okay? This is a very good thing because that essentially means that statistically, this move is still on, right? So as long as we are still with an upside pivot with the stochastic momentum and still not in the opposing side of the critical expansion, right? So critical expansion's opposition would be the critical contraction, right? So anytime that this has started a contraction phase paired with an upside pivot of the stochastic momentum, then I've taken every iteration where that has happened. I've measured the upside, the iteration's duration, and the amount of times that the profile of volatility, which is BBWP, right, represented by BBWP indicator, and stochastic momentum have guessed the upside correctly versus incorrectly. So in this case, we've actually, gone through 6 out of 6 times, of which we've, of course, have a 100% accuracy. At some point, this is just not going to be valid, right? But thus far, it's still there. We're still at 100%. And that mean for the upside thrust is coming in at 162.05% with a standard deviation of 373.40% to the upside. And I've mentioned this several times already, but very curious target here with that 668.70% upper bound of the first standard deviation, taking us to 2361, of which let's see, 2384 was actually that black swan event at the December 15 reverse split, right? So it's very curious that this statistical backtest, the first standard deviation upper bound, is leading us directly to that top side within just a few cents, right? So I'm not saying that we're going there. I'm just saying that that is a very curious backtest, and in fact, the statistical metrics or the criteria, conditions, whatever you want to call it, they're still on, right? And they're definitely still on. And another thing to keep in mind too is actually this: we have DMI support for this move. Okay, so that's something that's very critical when I am applying the footprint model, which is the volatility versus momentum paired with all kinds of stuff, right? But yeah, we still have the bulls leading the way, and we have strong trending market for them. Anytime that the ADX white dotted line is upside of the 25%, or actually ideally it would be 30% and up, but that usually signals a strong trending market to whoever is leading the way, and in this case, it's the bulls even still. Okay, so this is the daily Gaussian band. You can see that we rejected that support line again. Okay, so now we're validating yet again that we're still within the inside of the Gaussian channel. Okay, so that's another good thing for us to kind of encounter here. Okay, now the 8-hour time frame, volatility versus momentum, we have increasing volatility and we have kind of an upside pivot here. We definitely have a DMI support, but we have a 29.84 percent ADX, and the bulls are on top. Okay, so this is looking pretty good for the immediate short-term time frame as well. Okay, you guys, so now let's look at the last part of the analysis here, and this is actually going to be the RSI. Actually, let me see if I had something here to kind of talk about. Okay, so yeah, this is, yeah, definitely had something here. So check it out. The Gaussian band, mean band, has a top side of about 357. Right, so this is already it's sharing confluence with the targets that we were talking about within our chop zone, right? So 357 is landing just under the 3.272, and that's the 348 is just the 2.618. Right, so that's it's very curious that it would be around those metrics too. I definitely like it. Okay, you guys, and now if we go ahead and take a look at this, the top side of this triangle here, you know, for the next day, so literally here, right? So the top side of that triangle is leading to $3.54, right? So that's also, the resistance of this triangle is also rhyming with all of those other metrics. Okay, so that's kind of leading me to believe that maybe 353, 354 could be that top side to look at least for the shorter term time frame. So 30-minute immediate short term is suggesting a slight bit of a downside here. It's not so capitulation like this downside here, right? But it's still suggesting some type of downside. But also notice that the SMA 14 is pivoted towards the upside, so this could very well be short-lived. Okay, so now the bi-hourly time frame making a cross upside of the 14-day simple, very bullish. Okay, same situation here on the 4-hour. In fact, it has more of an upside pivot. And this is actually sitting in the gravitational zone of the bear weakness percentile, very likely for us to get pulled. And I mean, I'm liking actually all this momentum here. The 8-hour time frame also making a cross upside of that 14-day simple and getting into that gravitational zone. Very good. Now, the 12-hour time frame is showing us that we may have resistance coming up. And in fact, the daily time frame is giving us that resistance too, right at the center of the RSI, right? So if we were to face that resistance from the daily time frame, I'm not sure that it can actually realize it, but seeing that we do have some critical resistances on just upside of us, then maybe that's kind of telling us that we could face the resistance at around that 353, 354 cent zone, right, from the chop area here, before we actually can come back down and validate the supports in the downside yet again. Okay, you guys, so, and then from there, your 3-day time frame and your 5-day time frame, they're just consolidating here. They're really waiting for some substantial shorter time frame upside or downside pivots, right? But in this case, we are definitely getting an upside, and I do see COSM reaching some newer, higher targets tomorrow, but we will go ahead and validate that, right? So I actually did cover a lot of COSM today in the live stream. I actually started streaming at around 8:30 a.m. So I'm going to try to start streaming around maybe 7:30 or 7 tomorrow, right? It really just depends on my toddler and how fast I can get him back into his schedule. So this has been a process. It's been a work in progress. My goodness. All right, you guys. But please remember, first and foremost, that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. Okay, you guys. But with that said, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.